Good day, young people and those who have aged like myself. My name is William C. Goodrich, station master on the Underground Railroad, and I became a businessman. I was born enslaved on the Carroll plantation in that slave state called Maryland. At a young age, I crossed the Mason and Dixon line to learn tanning. Now, my job as a tanner was to pull the guts out of the animals. I lived with a Reverend and Mrs. Dunn right there in York. Now, they taught me how to read, they taught me how to write, and I learned quickly. But by the time I was 16 years old, the tanning business went under, and I was set free. Now, that freedom allowed me to learn a new trade, and that new trade was barbering. Boy, could I shave a man's face. Sometimes they said it was smooth as a baby's bottom. I returned to York with a little bit of cash in hand, and I started working for a barber, and later I ended up purchasing his barbershop. I went on to build my own on Center Square right there in New York, right there on, I think it was the west side. It ended up being the tallest building in York. I was able to hire people. I was also able to rent space because it was the most important emporium in York. I think it was similar to your Walmart or Amazon today. So as a businessman, it afforded me a chance to do something that was always in my heart, always burning. And that was to see my people in a freer space. That's why I became the station master on the Underground Railroad, and that's why there was always a bounty on my head, but they could never, ever catch me. So talking about bounties and bounty hunters, during the fugitive slave law of 1850, it made it tough for those who were enslaved to escape and those of us to help them. But I did it anyway. I used my emporium and I used my home at 123 East Philadelphia Street to hide the enslaved. And sometimes I would send them this way, but I had to warn them about a bounty hunter, and his name was Richard McAllister. He was awful. He was the most notorious bounty hunter this side of the Susquehanna River. He was born on the last, I think it was the last plantation in Pennsylvania, right there, Fort Hunter. And he was schooled at Dickinson College. So he was quite a clever man. But he bragged about how he caught more enslaved people and jailed them. And I must say, right across the street was the jailhouse, which made it quite easy for him to do his business, because where I stand now, this federal building was his office. Now, isn't that ironic? That the federal building here today would be the office of the most notorious bounty hunter this side of the Susquehanna River. Now, what he would do is, even if you were free, even if you had all the documents, it didn't matter to him. It became a number game. He thought that if he would catch as many of us as possible, that Simon Cameron would give him a job. Now, One of the things that I have to say is he also caught free. So, we must be careful here. Because if there's any remnants of him still being here, we are all in trouble. He would at night hold hearings right across the street where he knew that there was no way it would be fair. There was no way that everyone was treated equally, so that he could build his numbers. That Richard McAllister was one to fear. Now, I don't know today whether this federal building was built here just to represent such a man as Mr. McAllister. But I will say this, it is ironic that I am standing here today talking about that. So, how do you feel about the most notorious bounty hunter in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? Now, I know the people of Harrisburg would not stand for such a person today, but if he were here, many of us will still be in trouble. He also went to Lancaster as well, that's my understanding, and a few other places. But he couldn't do his business that well in York, because I had, using the vernacular you said today, I had that laid down. So I'm happy to be here today, and hopefully you will see more of me. William Goodrich, station master on the Underground Railroad and successful businessman.